Good evening, all. We'll start shortly. All right, so welcome all in our weekly webinar Market Masterclass with Religare. Some of you know who are joining us for the first time. In this webinar, we talk about the market performance during the week, a quick snapshot of these benchmark indices, sectoral indices, Nifty 50 gainer losers, followed by our view on both Nifty and the banking index for the next week, what all levels that you should watch out for, alongside with the sectors and themes wherein we are seeing potential, and followed by like a quick feedback poll and then Q&A. सो आप सभी का स्वागत है और इस वेबिनार में हम आधे घंटे में जो इनिशियल 20 मिनट होगा उसमें हम बात करेंगे मार्केट्स के बारे में, कैसी परफॉर्मेंस रही, जल्दी से हम उसके बारे में बात करेंगे और ज़्यादा टाइम स्पेंड करेंगे कि मार्केट में क्या एंटिसिपेटेड है, किस तरीके के टेक्सचर है और कौन से लेवल्स आपको ध्यान रखने हैं निफ्टी बैंकिंग इंडेक्स में और कौन से स्टॉक सेक्टर जहाँ पे आपका फोकस होना चाहिए। तो ये सब कुछ कवर करेंगे नेक्स्ट हाफ एन आवर। उसके बाद सेशन के बाद एक क्विक फीडबैक पोल होगा और फिर कोई भी सवाल है आपका जो आपके स्क्रीन पर Q&A बटन है उसको आप यूज करके अपने सवाल को पूछ सकते हैं। Right, so let's start with a disclaimer first that it's educational webinar. It's not a trading or investment recommendation. So before making any decision based on the information shared, प्लीज चेक विद योर फाइनेंशियल एडवाइजर। जो भी हम बात करने वाले हैं वो एक एजुकेशनल पर्पस के लिए है, ये कोई ट्रेडिंग और इन्वेस्टमेंट रिकमेंडेशन नहीं है। तो जब भी आप इस पे कुछ सोचें एक्ट करने का तो अपने फाइनेंशियल एडवाइजर से जरूर बात करें। अब आते हैं मार्केट्स की परफॉर्मेंस की। दिस इज हाउ द मार्केट परफॉर्म्ड ड्यूरिंग द वीक। फाइनली मींस आफ्टर like consecutive declines and disappointing last 3 weeks. In fact, finally Nifty could manage, or both Nifty and Sensex could manage to post meaningful gains, or I would say recovery in the passing week. And as you can see, another important aspect, performance on the sectoral front. So metal, media, energy, pharma, auto, they all did well. Means not even a single loser on the sectoral front. That is another positive. Means it was the broad-based recovery. And it was similar in mid-cap and small cap too. But yes, it was for the couple of sessions wherein we were seeing alignment between the mid-cap and small cap. But in the rest of the sessions, we were seeing that small cap were doing better in comparison to the mid caps. Now talking about gainers and losers, BEL, Tata Steel, BPCL, Hindalco, Eicher. So couple of names from the metal basket, then BEL, BPCL and Eicher. So in the range of 7 to 12%, the top 5 gainers. Losing side, you'll see surprisingly means banking and the NBFC basket. Though the quantum is less, means except IndusInd Bank, wherein the stock lost nearly 6%, you'll see profit taking in the rest of the pack. Bajaj Auto is anyways under downtrend. There's no sign of recovery yet. Intermediate bounce, it is something which we are seeing every now and then, but largely the trend is negative for both the two-wheeler names, big two-wheelers name, Bajaj Auto and Hero MotoCorp. So ये पूरे वीक का एक स्लाइड में प्रेजेंटेशन की ये लगातार गिरावट के बाद फाइनली थोड़ा सा बाजार संभलता हुआ नजर आया अपने को। और दोनों ही बेंचमार्क इंडाइसेस निफ्टी और सेंसेक्स करीब 1.5 से 2% के गेन के साथ बंद हुए। तो 3 हफ्तों की गिरावट के बाद, लगातार गिरावट के बाद ये रहा मार्केट का ट्रेंड। अच्छी बात क्या रहेगी, पार्टिसिपेशन जैसे कि आप देख रहे हैं कि ब्रॉड बेस्ड रहा। मींस सारे ही सेक्टर पॉजिटिव साइड पे, कोई भी लूजिंग साइड पे कोई सेक्टर नहीं रहा, जो की सेक्टर्स की हम बात करते हैं। और गेनर लूजर साइड पे भी गेनर का क्वांटम जो था, जिस साइड से जितना उन्होंने गेन किया, उसके कंपैरिजन में लूजर्स का उतना नहीं रहा। ये एक अनदर पॉजिटिव था, जहां पे कि बीएल ने लीड किया ऑन द गेनिंग साइड और इंडसइंड बैंक ने ऑन द लूजिंग साइड। सो दिस इज द snapshot now, what to do next, how to approach the markets, especially the key indices, Nifty and the banking index. So last week, if you remember, 21,800, 22,000, we showed a different chart, a weekly chart, in the last webinar. To illustrate our rationale, means we had multiple supports, 3 key supports placed around that zone, and Nifty respected that area during this week. And it's not only respected, but in fact, we've seen a decent rebound amid mixed global clues, so which is another positive. So initial 2 sessions, it was subdued. In the last 3 sessions, means in the middle rather, I would say, because today's session was also a flat one, means it was more of a range bound session. But in the middle, we saw a decent recovery, which helped the index to inch towards its first line of resistance. Rather, I would say second line of resistance, because earlier last week we've discussed about 22,500 being the first area of resistance, and then 22,700 zone. So we have reached to that mark. This yellow line, which you can see on your screen, is around 22,700. What is this yellow line? It's the 20 days of exponential moving average. Once we break this barrier, then probably Nifty can attempt this trend line resistance around 23,200, 23,300 area. And then, of course, this two moving averages, major moving averages converging around 23,400, 450 area would be the next major hurdle. So anyways, in the range of 22 to 3,200 to 400, we will see major resistances. But the first hurdle that we have is at 22,700 mark. Downside, the bias would change once we again break 22,250 on the closing basis. Means this candle low, close to around this Thursday's candle low. If we close this mark, possibly we can retest the previous swing low or may inch further lower towards 21,800 mark. So this is what Nifty is indicating. तो ये आपका निफ्टी का डेली ग्राफ है। लास्ट वीक हमने बात की थी 21,800, 22,000 को डिफेंड करने की, जो कि हुआ, अच्छे से डिफेंड किया मार्केट ने, और ना ही केवल डिफेंड किया बल्कि रिकवरी भी दिखाई। रिकवरी कहां तक? आपके शॉर्ट टर्म एवरेजेस के पास पहुंच गया। इनफैक्ट ये जो ट्रेंड लाइन पहले सपोर्ट था वो रेजिस्टेंस की तरह एक्ट कर रहा है। तो नेक्स्ट वीक के लिए 22,700 का आपको ध्यान रखना है। जब तक 22,700 क्रॉस नहीं करते हैं तब तक कंसोलिडेशन और साइडवेज टोन बरकरार रहेगा मार्केट में, जहाँ पे कि 22,250 आपका सपोर्ट होगा, क्रिटिकल सपोर्ट होगा। उसके नीचे फिर दोबारा से नेगेटिव बायस। जब भी आपने 22,700 को ब्रेक कर दिया तो फिर ये रिकवरी एक्सटेंड होगी, 23,200, 23,400, ये सारे जोन खुल जाएंगे। राइट, अब कौन करेगा ये, उसका आंसर ये है। Last week, if you remember, we've discussed about banking, financials, and metal being the key sector which could outperform. Metal performed exceptionally well. gained roughly around 8-9%. But banking and financials, they kept on sitting on the sidelines. For next week, we have this first hurdle at this yellow line, as you can see on the screen, around 49,000 mark. But I believe that 49,000, 49,300 rather would be the key zone to cross to trigger some strong and meaningful up move in the market in banking index specifically. Right? So to cross this 22,700 mark, banking should cross 49,000. In a way, other sectors, can they trigger a rebound beyond 22,700? Yes, it is possible that market can continue to inch higher without banking participating much. But sustenance and momentum without banking seems very difficult. Right? We are seeing improvement in other sectors, like Reliance has rebounded very strongly from the energy basket. And then we have other names also from the heavyweights, especially from the banking side itself and capital goods and other names. But without banking making any sustained recovery, that seems difficult. So 22,700 in Nifty and 49,000 in the banking index. These are the two levels that you should keep in mind for the next week. Once we cross this area, then 50,000 तक के लिए ये लेवल खुल जाएंगे, जो कि आपके मल्टीपल रेजिस्टेंसेस हैं यहाँ पे जोन में 49,800 से लेकर 50,000 के बीच में मार्केट में अटेम्प्ट दिस जोन. Right? So downside again, it would remain the same 47,500. Last week we were talking about the support areas. This week we are talking about resistance area. Basis the market condition. So 47,500 obviously will continue to be the key support to watch out for. देखिए लास्ट वीक हमने बात की थी बैंकिंग, फाइनेंशियल और मेटल जो कि अच्छा परफॉर्म कर सकते हैं मार्केट में, बावजूद इसके कि टोन नेगेटिव था. और वहां पे मेटल ने किया भी करीब 9% के गेन्स मेटल इंडेक्स से आपको देखने को मिले. बट बैंकिंग और फाइनेंशियल्स का उस तरीके से परफॉर्मेंस नहीं आया जिस तरीके से एंटिसिपेटेड था. अब वो क्या चैलेंज है? वो चैलेंज है ये येलो लाइन जो कि आप स्क्रीन पे देख पा रहे हैं, जो कि 49,000 के पास है. 49,000 49,300 का जोन है. ये एक बार क्रॉस हुआ बैंकिंग में तो एक अच्छी रिकवरी 50,000 तक, करीब 700-800 पॉइंट की एक रिकवरी जल्दी देखने को मिल सकती है. 50,000 के ऊपर अगर निकल गया तो अल्टीमेटली ऑब्वियसली 50-500 और शायद उससे भी हायर के लेवल्स हों. बट अभी के लिए 50,000 एक अल्टीमेट रेजिस्टेंस नजर आता है. नेक्स्ट वीक के लिए आपको ये जोन ध्यान रखना है 49,000 49,300 का. जब इसके ऊपर आप ब्रेक हो गए तो डेफिनेटली पॉजिटिव मोमेंटम की इंडिकेशन है बैंकिंग इंडेक्स में. वहीं पे नीचे पे 47,500 जो कि लास्ट वीक भी हमने बात की थी, वही की एरिया होगा जिसको आपको देखना है इन केस बैंकिंग अगर नीचे स्लिप होता है तो. राइट नाउ स्टॉक्स कहाँ पे फोकस करें? फर्स्ट नेम फ्रॉम द बैंकिंग स्पेस, like we were discussing that we need support from banking to cross this 22,700 level and make a sustainable up move. Kotak is also sitting on the sidelines after this, trend line break. It's a multi-year break, and now we are seeing a breather. Good part is that we are not seeing decline either. Stock is still holding in a very tight range. So possibility of trend resumption seems high. So it's a zone or it's a area where one can look to accumulate this stock. Right? So जैसे हमने बात की बैंकिंग की, तो बैंकिंग अगर अच्छा परफॉर्म करता है तो कोटक बैंक, खासतौर से प्राइवेट बैंक्स पे आपको फोकस करना है. SBI फ्रॉम द PSU पैक जहाँ पे की अच्छी परफॉर्मेंस आई है, बट लार्जली आपको प्राइवेट बैंकिंग मेजर्स लाइक ICICI, HDFC, कोटक, वहीं पे इंडसइंड बैंक वीक साइड पर है तो उसको अवॉइड करना है आपको। ये नहीं कि बैंकिंग अगर रिकवर करेगा तो जो अंडर परफॉर्म कर रहा है उसमें कुछ चेंज आ जाएगा, वो शायद कंटिन्यू रहेगा, राइट। सो कोटक बैंक इज समथिंग जो कि फोकस कर सकते हैं फॉर द नेक्स्ट वीक ऑन द लॉन्ग साइड फॉर एक्यूमुलेशन। नेक्स्ट SRF, for the obvious reason again, strength. We always say when markets are weak, obviously, when it comes to buying, only buy stocks which are showing noticeable resilience or strength in comparison to the benchmark. And SRF is trading at the record highs, as you can see on the graph. There's a multi-year breakout followed by consolidation. This week, it's a strong close. So indications are in the favor that we can see further up move in coming weeks, right? तो जैसे कि हमने अब रूटीन में हम ये बात करते हैं हमेशा ही कि जब खासतौर से मार्केट का ट्रेंड वीक हो तो बाइंग करने के लिए और ध्यान रखना पड़ता है कि स्ट्रेंथ को आप बाय करें। क्या होगा कि अगर आपने कोई स्टॉक 52 वीक लो पे है, वीक है, उसको बाय किया तो जब भी मार्केट में पिटाई दोबारा शुरू होगी सबसे पहले उसको पनिश करेंगे। और जिस जहाँ स्ट्रेंथ होती है इट मीन्स कि कोई ना कोई बाय करने के लिए तैयार है उसको। जैसे कि आप SRF में देख रहे हैं कि गिरावट के नाम पे जब बहुत टाइट चला जाता है और आज रिकवरी हुई इस वीक तो यहाँ पे रिकॉर्ड हाई के पास पहुंच गया ये। तो इस तरीके के स्टॉक्स आउट परफॉर्मेंस कंटिन्यू रख सकते हैं, ये इंडिकेशन है फॉर द नेक्स्ट वीक एज वेल। लास्टली दिस स्टॉक विच मोस्टली पीपल talk about and wish to know more, Zomato. So Zomato, two important things to highlight. First, that there was this range that the stock was trading in. After retesting its record highs, it again slipped towards its previous swing low and breached that mark. It tried to reclaim that area but couldn't, and then again slipped lower. Almost 1.5 months we are seeing this range bound consolidation. The problem part is that it is facing strong resistance to cross this area. First, the long-term averages and then this trend line. So it is very difficult to say whether it is, because it's consolidation range, right? Means we are seeing the stock hovering in this pattern. So is it distribution or accumulation? It's very difficult to comment, but because at times, it's very easy to show you something and eventually it turns out to be otherwise if you preempt, right? So if it breaks this, trend line on the downside, then possibly we can see the next leg of decline, which can push the stock to 180-85 zone in the coming weeks. So the level comes closer to around 210 for Zomato on the downside. Why more of negative? Because after this breakdown, it made multiple attempts to cross and sustain, but it couldn't hold it for long. So this is one area of worry. So for those who are holding long position, definitely they should consider this as their stop for any long trade, or they may exit and wait for this pattern to negate, means to wait and see whether it manages to cross this barrier. Best is to wait for a close above 240, right? So, and for those who are aggressive traders, they can definitely look to go for short positions also if it breaks this lower band. So in a way, possibility of sideways to negative trend is much higher in comparison to a breakout. As of now, this is what the chart pattern is indicating. So be very cautious if you are holding longs. और प्लानिंग एंड फ्रस्ट्रेट। तो ये लास्ट स्टॉक जो आपकी स्क्रीन पे है वो है जोमेटो का, और हम सभी को पता है कि काफी ज्यादा इंटरेस्ट रहता है यहाँ पे। और जैसे कि आप देख पा रहे हैं स्क्रीन पे कि अपने रिकॉर्ड हाइस को बनाने के बाद जो गिरावट आई उसमें प्रीवियस लो को ये होल्ड नहीं कर पाया, और उसके बाद एक कंटिन्यूशन देखने को मिला ट्रेंड का, जिसकी वजह से अपनी लॉन्ग टर्म एवरेजेस के नीचे आ गया। तो नीचे आया वो ठीक है, बट बहुत सारे अटेम्प्ट हो रहे हैं, बट उसके ऊपर जा ही नहीं पा रहा है अपने लॉन्ग टर्म एवरेजेस के ऊपर ये। इस केस में क्या होता है कि कहीं ना कहीं डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन के साइन दिखते हैं, कि मींस कोई बेच रहा है हर लेवल पे, जितनी बार भी उस लेवल के पास जा रहा है 234-35 के पास कोई ना कोई बेचने के लिए आ रहा है। कंफर्मेशन कैसे होगा? जब 210 के नीचे ये ब्रेक करके क्लोज हो जाएगा कि हाँ यार कोई बेच रहा था और अब ये नीचे के लिए तैयार है और गिरावट आएगी इसमें। तो जिनके पास लॉन्ग पोजीशन है उनको ज्यादा ध्यान रखना है 210 का जो सपोर्ट एरिया है वो ब्रेक होने का, या फिर यहाँ पे एग्जिट करके सोचने के बाद जब ऊपर पे निकले 240 के ऊपर दोबारा निकले तभी देखें, उससे पहले नहीं। ये एक तरीका हो सकता है। तो मल्टीपल वेज हैं बेसिकली, बट इंडिकेशंस नेगेटिव साइड पे ज्यादा है जोमेटो, राइट? सो टू सम इट अप, our view on the index, we are closer to the resistance 22,700 in Nifty, 49,000, 49,300 in the banking index. To cross 22,700, participation of banking is now very important. Rather, I would say decisively cross above 22,700. On the stock specific front, we've talked about Kotak Bank, SRF, wherein we are seeing strength, and Zomato, wherein we are seeing possibility of distribution. तो जो भी हमने बात की, अगर दो लाइनों में इसको अगर समराइज करें तो 22,700 और 49,000, 49,300 ये लेवल आपको ध्यान रखने हैं निफ्टी और बैंकिंग इंडेक्स में। बैंकिंग का पार्टिसिपेशन इंपॉर्टेंट होगा कि 22,700 के ऊपर आप जाते हैं, कितना जाते हैं और कैसे रहते हैं, वो सारी चीजें डिसाइड होगा। स्टॉक स्पेसिफिक हमने बात की कोटक और एसआरएफ की, जहाँ पे की स्ट्रेंथ दिख रही है, और वहीं पे जोमेटो जहाँ पे की पॉसिबिलिटी दिख रही है कि वीकनेस आने वाले टाइम में बढ़ सकती है, राइट? तो आज की वीडियो में इतना ही। अब जल्दी से करते हैं फीडबैक पोल, and then we can start with the Q&A. So please fill in your feedback and then we can start with the Q&A session. Whatever questions that you have in your mind related to any particular sector, any particular theme, we can definitely answer. Use that Q&A button in front of your screen and we'll answer that. So please fill in your feedback and then you can start posting your questions. कोई भी सवाल है आपका तो जो Q&A करके एक क्वेश्चन मार्क वाला बटन है उसको आप प्रेस करिए, एक विंडो खुलेगा, उस पर आप अपना सवाल लिखकर पूछ सकते हैं। सवाल किसी भी सेक्टर के रिलेटेड हो सकता है, स्टॉक स्पेसिफिक अवॉइड करिएगा, बिकॉज फिर वो सबकी स्टॉक स्पेसिफिक क्वेरीज हो जाएंगी तो फिर सेशन कभी खत्म ही नहीं होगा, राइट? तो बेटर है कि स्टॉक्स ना पूछ के सेक्टर्स पे आप बात कर लें, उसी में हम लोग कोशिश करेंगे जितना भी एड्रेस कर दें। जिनका हो चुका है फीडबैक, दे कैन स्टार्ट पोस्टिंग देयर क्वेश्चंस। All right, so let's start now. Okay, so first, Mr. Karthikeyan Ravichandran on chemical sectors in the coming days. So, see, chemical as a basket, during the earning also, we witnessed a mixed trend. It's not outrightly a clear sectoral move that was witnessed. And possibility of this kind of trend continuing in the next leg of rebound also seems high. So like we talked about SRF, we talked about earlier talked about Naveen Fluorine among the performers. At the same time, agrochemical basket is still facing challenges, and we have very limited stocks. Means at least from the short to medium term point of view, I believe that these two names, SRF and Naveen Fluorine, is something that one can look at. Rest, one should wait for clarity in the financials, in the next quarterly results, and then accordingly one should take a call. Rakesh, finance sector, like what we've shared about banking, it's similar. Means the NBFC basket, we are seeing a bit of a profit taking every now and then, but the strength is there, especially the big names like Bajaj Finance, Chola. Uh, there we are seeing noticeable strength. Then we have other names from the gold financing side like Manapuram and Muthoot. And lastly, like we have Lagard's also, wherein we are seeing some recovery and interest now, like AB Capital, LTI, and all. So from the short-term point of view, the top name is something that one should prefer. Means Bajaj Finance, Chola is something that one should definitely prefer, and then gradually you can look for opportunities basis their overall price performance in the coming days. Okay, next we have Riha, a question on what we can expect in terms of duration Nifty to be at the level of all-time high. So honestly, nobody knows this, and if somebody claims that he knows, is either genius or a fool. Because nobody can honestly, on a serious note, that can claim that by this time is going to be a high. We have multiple studies around that, uh, wherein people try to project and all, but market is all about behaviors. It's not about purely mathematics. So obviously, sentiments and other aspects, they also play a critical role. One thing which I personally follow and I always recommend is to stay with market. Whatever market says, just follow that. Don't try to argue, preempt the market moves. Just stay with that. If you're a long-term investor, focus more on the financial performance. Short-term price fluctuations gives you the opportunity to strengthen your position if you are an investor. But when it comes to trader, you have stop losses and targets in place. Don't bother about how and when market is going to approach to the new highs. Just follow the trend. 21,800, 22,000. Last week we were saying should act as a support. It defended that area and we have reached higher. Next, 22,700 it will cross, then 23,200. So accordingly, you should plan your trades. Okay, next we have Vishal has question on what do you think about ID sector because FI sold so much in that sector. So yes, see, it's not that FIs have not you know left any sector. Means they have maximum investment in ID and banking. Rest of the sector they have negligible investment if we talk about the overall investment that they have in India. So IT as a pack, I still feel that though recently we have seen a very sharp decline and we have multiple challenges at times from the US market itself that the Nasdaq Composite starts seeing some correction and then one fine day we start this correlation again and we see profit taking in our markets. But when they go up, we hardly see any correlation because that day we say that the hardware related side stocks boosted the sentiment and we are the service providers. So as of now, I believe that the recent leg of pain is over for IT, especially the IT majors and a couple of names from the mid-cap IT basket as well. And one should not worry much about a very sharp decline in IT. because anyways the IT pack was underperforming for almost 3-4 years in the past also. It didn't participate much during the uh, recent bull run that we had till October. So there could be some consolidation that is possible, but I believe that IT along with banking can outperform in the next leg of bull market. So this is my readings basis their outperformance. Okay, so next we have Mervin. What is your view on those sector stocks which will affected due to Trump tariffs, and will it have any short-term fluctuation or sustain? It will sustain the long run. So yeah, this is valid questions. Like we all are concerned about this reciprocal tariff and the tariff announcement every now and then from the US. So how it's going to impact us? So obviously the sectors and themes, the stocks which are export dependent, they have this threat, and of course IT and pharma, they lead the pack when it comes to the overall uh, contribution to their revenue from the exports. So IT, like what we have just discussed, that we have seen a decent correction, and we are not seeing any major dent. And if you remember the last time when the Donald Trump became president, the IT companies made multiple changes in their positioning. Means they have workforce now in US also. So I doubt that it will have any major and meaningful impact on IT companies as such basis this tariff thing. Obviously, the demand scenario for their services, which is also based out from US and Europe, that will have a more impact in the IT companies in coming weeks or months. Pharma, on the other hand, we have not seen any major reaction as such so far. So it seems like that they are also prepared in case if something happens. And otherwise, we would have seen sharp cut in pharma also. It's not that they have not declined yet, but the quantum is not very a very sharp decline in one single day. It's something that has not happened. Obviously, the date is April 2nd for this. But as of now, I'm not seeing any major reaction on that part. Means it seems like that there could be a possibility of negotiation or other aspect which would subside this pressure. So hope it answers your query. Okay, next we have Gorang on which ETF to be suggested to the clients. Can we invest in gold ETF? So I'm assuming, Gorang, that you are referring to hedging your portfolios by adding gold ETF. So it's a good idea. It's always been a good idea, but if the view is short term, obviously it's not going to yield any result. And anyways, we do not add gold to any portfolio for returns. We add it for hedging. So gold also in the last year gained roughly around 24% kind of a return. And this year also we have seen a phenomenal surge. We are quoting roughly around $29-30 on Limex, and around 85,000 mark in MCX. So if you are planning to make gold as a part of your portfolio for long term, then definitely you can recommend. And gold bees, which I believe is one of the most liquid ETF which is available for trading or investment. So you can refer the same. Right. Okay, next we have Bhaskar on solar EV in coming days. So, Bhaskar, if you'll go back and see our previous webinar videos on Religare Online channel on YouTube, you'll see this conversation, especially in like 7, 8 months ago when there was so much of buzz around this EV and solar related stocks and investment. Then also I said that it's not a short term thing. It takes time, years to develop such infra, such demand. As of now, of this total demand is hardly like 2-3% when it comes to the uh, electric EV. So if you think about solar or any other ways, you can think about the kind of time it's going to take. So if your time horizon is, let's say, 10 years, 15 years, and you are sure about the company's financial performance during that, because it's a very capital intensive businesses. So you have to think from the investment. Please don't follow fads, means which everybody is talking about, and people just were talking about 6 months ago, 8 months ago about defense and railways, and again all these talks they witness around 60-40% kind of a cut across the board. So be logical what you are buying, at what valuation, for how long, for what reason. If you are investing, if you're sure about this, it appeals you, and it feels like it could be a good for the overall ecosystem, but is it good for your investment? That is also you have to think of, right? Is going to yield any returns to my investment? This is something also you have to think of. So hope it answers your query. So yeah, with this we have answered all the queries. Thank you everyone for participating. Next week, same time, 14th, we'll connect again. We'll discuss about markets.